got some spoilers. We're going to look at 2 new ones today, but first I want to get Brad's opinion off of this half a spoiler.
I thought you wanted my opinion on that shirt, because that shirt is awesome.
Yeah, it's a good Ulamog sort of spaghetti monster crossover. I thought it was amusing. They have it listed, obviously, on G Goldfish. But anyway, so we don't know what the front half is, so we can't actually speculate on the playability of this card. But the backside is a 7-4 trample haste. And when it attacks, it puts 3/2 Eldrazi horse attacked and playing. I think that they're doing a lot of things right in design here. The card number is 130 F205, so it's probably red or green. That's usually where that color combination falls in there. So the front side is obviously a not Eldrazi card, probably. It's probably a Hanwar somebody. And they all kind of mutate together into a giant writhing creature land thing.
Is it a land? Is
the probably not. Land? People are hoping it is, but with the number being 130 out of 205, it's probably a green or red card. But the interesting thing I wanted to point out that I like for design is that they might use more flip cards because the top thing has the Ulamog symbol instead of the Night and Day symbol, which is cool. And it's cool that they're doing interesting things like, for those that follow Flavor, this is a very flavorful card. But let's get back to what we're really doing here. We should start with the good card first, right? The new Thalia. You want to tell us about this new Thalia?
So, this might be playable. It's definitely playable in Standard.
Thalia, Heretic Cathar, 2 and a white for a 3/2 first strike. Human Soldier, Legend. Creatures and non-basic lands your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. So, how does this feel in Standard? Where do you think this is going in Standard, Red?
So I think this will be in any deck that plays white in Standard.
I think it'll go in any deck that plays white, except for maybe some control decks.
Okay, that is not a thing in Standard.
There's black-white control in Standard right now.
Right. I'm joking, obviously.
Right, but it still could be a sideboard card.
So any deck that's, tries to kill with creatures, mini creatures, it's going to play this.
Right. So
it's format staple.
It slots in. It's probably a 2 to 3 of. It could be a 3 to 4 of, just because it's so hard to get around.
The previous Thalia was a 4 of, right? So
yeah,
probably a 4 of.
Probably.
Craig Wesco's a 4 of.
Craig Wesco all in. So things I like about this card, especially the non-basic lands. This means that it's not as oppressive in Limited. Like in Limited, you aren't going to want to play against this card. A 3-mana 3/2 first strike is awesome, and the fact that it makes blocking harder is really tough. But the fact that it doesn't slow you down in Limited, and you can still play good games of Limited without basically just completely losing to somebody's Thalia is a big plus. I appreciate it when they design cards that can be powerful in one dimension and not too powerful in another. Also, in Standard, people aren't going to play only non-basics. Modern and Legacy, do you think this could see homes in...
So, I think it might be played of as a 1 or 2 of in some of those decks. Maybe in the sideboard.
So, let's say...
I think it will definitely make it into Modern.
So, you think it's a 2 or 3 of in Modern, kind of a curve topper in these aggressive decks. The non-basic part is the nice part. I mean, how many non-basics do most Modern and Legacy decks run? 2, right?
Almost all, right?
They run 1 to 2, though, correct?
Oh, basics?
Yes.
Yeah, they run about 2 basics and the rest non-basics.
So it can be really powerful there. I could see not running any of these, or possibly running 1 of these.
No, I could see running
in Legacy. Obviously it slots into something like Death and Taxes, right?
Yeah, what does it replace in Death and Taxes? There aren't many 3-mana cost creatures in Death and Taxes, right? Besides Flicker Wisp?
Right.
So it's probably in the sideboard for Death and Taxes in Legacy.
Well, and I think in Legacy you want a matchup where the creatures and non-basics mattered quite a bit. I don't know. What creature decks use non-basics?
Any creature you play in Legacy is automatically worse if it comes into play tapped, so...
Yeah, especially against Death and Taxes, which is an aggressive deck. Or Hate Bears, Maverick-type decks. It just slots in. Do you think this is better or worse than the original Thalia?
Than the original Thalia? Oh, it's definitely worse.
I agree. It's definitely worse. But it's still a great card. I don't think that they could have made this the other Thalia. I don't think they could have made a 4-mana 4/4 that you have to pay 2 extra for spells, because I don't think that that's good enough. I think that making it cost 3 and making it a little beefier is probably the right way to go. It still has the taxing effect. It just taxes on a different dimension. Instead of taxing by making things cost more, it taxes your available resources.
Oh, actually, Death and Taxes in Legacy sometimes plays the 3-mana cost thing that does the Thalia ability. The original Thalia ability. So it might take the place of a couple of those.
It could. And the toughness matters.
Super playable, format stable.
having
would
more
buy
toughness.
now if you want them because they're just going to get more expensive.
I think at one point they'll be cheaper in standard because.
But if you want to play them the first day of standard, you better buy them now.
Yeah, they're
probably at least $5 right now.
So the thing we don't know is will standard will green white tokens, the deck that's most likely to play this, or banned humans or whatever, still be the top deck? We don't know what cards are coming out. It could be totally turned topsy-turvy. White could be not playable as a tier 1 deck due to other cards. Now, right now, green white tokens and green white banned are the top tier decks. If you want to be playing good decks, they need to have green and white in them, or not good decks. There are other tier 1 decks.
I would be willing to bet that the other pieces of the white-green deck went up in price when this got spoiled.
Yeah, that's a good place. All right, let's look at the other card, which is not as exciting, but still cool. Identity Supplanter. 2 blue for a 0/3 shapeshifter. Weird stats, probably a clone. Whenever Identity Supplanter attacks, you may exile target non-token creature. If you do, Identity Supplanter becomes a copy of that creature until end of turn. Return the exiled creature onto the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So it can remove a card from the other side of the field, and it becomes that card. You don't get into the battlefield effects, and it re-triggers battlefield effects. So this is a bad card to remove, a Man of War with. Reflector Mage is the actual card right now, but, that's rough. But it turns into an Ulamog, and it attacks as an Ulamog. So how do you feel about this?
I think it's pretty cool. I don't think it'll get played much except in Commander.
I think you're right. I think that the only caveat to this, because there's two things going on. First of all, clones aren't particularly playable usually in Standard. The Enter the Battlefield effect copying is usually one of the best parts to it. And the only thing this really has going for it is that it plays well with Eldrazi that use the processing mechanic, because you can attack with it and then process their card and their card doesn't come back. But that seems a little niche. If we had more reasons to play processors, maybe. But that's really the only that's the only interaction that I can think of that makes me want to play it, but I still don't think it justifies 4 mana. I think this could have been like 1 blue, or had some sort of ability like, I don't know how to make this better, but it is cool. It's a cool limited card. It's a cool EDH card.
It's a limited bomb, I think.
It attacks as the best creature and moves the best blocker. It's a terrible blocker, though. Like, I feel like at 5 mana...
Well, you're always going to be attacking with it, so...
Right, but the first turn it doesn't block well either. And it's vulnerable as 3 toughness. I guess they wanted you to be able to kill it, but... I just wish it had something going on so it was more standard
cheaper.
Yeah. Because the last clone I was excited about was the 2 blue one that could enter the battlefield as any type of permanent, because it could copy a Planeswalker. That card never saw any play, but...
You could pick up some of those.
You could imagine situations where you would want to be able to copy the best permanent on play and possibly play it, but I don't think... We haven't had a playable clone in so long.
Well, since the Friction one, right?
Yeah, that one costs 3 and went in any color.
Yep, and that's why it's played.
I guess if clones cost 3, they're good enough.
Well, it's 3 and 2 life, Daniel.
Yes.
And it's technically blue.
Technically blue.
Alright,
guys, we're going to throw up some Magic. We're going to play some MTGO in a second. So give us 1 second, and we'll get it going. And let us know if you guys have any thoughts on the spoilers. We'll be covering them as they keep going. Thanks, guys.